You may notice that I have been missing for about 3 weeks after I said I was going to upload every week 2 a.m. janks or something else. And that's because I decided to commit to going to the Yuma regional qualifier, and I've spent the last 3 or so weeks practicing, testing out decks, finding one I liked, and eventually just going and seeing how well I did. And I didn't want to be distracted by trying to keep up with uploading as well. On top of the two decks I was going to play and make videos about for 2 a.m. jank were both Mitsurugi builds that needed King of the Feral Imps. So there you go. That's where I've been. And this video is going to be me talking about the deck I played, showing it off a little bit. I will be talking about how I did at the regional. I'll say it here now. I was 4-2, 13th place overall, lost top 8 to tiebreakers, and I fully believe I could have made top 8 had I played the deck a little bit better in those first 2 rounds. I was extremely nervous, extremely sleep deprived, and after those first 2 round losses, I beat everyone afterwards, won a 4-game win streak, and yeah, that's how I did. I'm super happy with it. I hope you enjoy. I hope you consider playing, or at least keeping this deck in mind. Let's get into pure Solfachord. So let's talk about this deck. I'm first gonna just talk about the regional in general, and then I'll get into the deck. Not really a deck profile. I've said this before. I really hate how most deck profiles are done. I think they're boring. I think they're slow. It is what it is. But the regional was great. I had the most fun of my life. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but it was the most fun I've had in Yu-Gi-Oh! At this point. It was kind of intoxicating. Even though I lost the first 2 rounds, which felt soul-crushing, mounting that comeback, it was great. It was fantastic. First things I need to say is, one of the people I was going with was supposed to bring me 4 cards that I had purchased and they had picked up for me and I needed for the regional, and they forgot them at home. So I spent about 30 minutes when we got to the store for the regional, while they scrambled through bulk to try to find the cards I needed. I was by hand writing out a new deck list and scrambling to find replacements. The cards I needed were not essential to the deck. They were not cards that were like vital. It wasn't like Primoas or anything. It was an M board piece, that being Lyrilisk and Semblue, which ended up being the only card I actually missed. Please play that card if you own it. We're going to pretend like I have it for this profile. And the other ones were Solfachord Beauty and some Contact C and a Ghost Belle, which ended up not super mattering. I actually recommend you don't play the Beauty at all in the deck. It felt like a brick. And it is a brick. It absolutely is a brick. Sorry, it didn't feel like a brick. 1, because I didn't have it. But 2, because it is a brick. And it ended up not mattering at all. In fact, it felt better to play without that brick, and the only thing it added was you can overlay for Odd Eyes Absolute and get an Omni Negate. You know, Omni Negate's pretty good. You know, I'm not gonna lie, Omni Negate, pretty good. But having that extra deck space and 1 less brick in the main deck felt so much better. That extra deck space opened up 2 slots, 3 slots if you include the Lyrilisk, but please God, play the Lyrilisk. That card, I needed that card multiple times. I had a Zealantis instead. It never came up. I literally always wanted to make the Lyrilisk. I had enough bodies for it every single time I set up, and I just could never, because I didn't have it. But the slots that took over for the Odd Eyes Absolute and Odd X Vortex were cards that did come up. That being the second Beyond the Pendulum. I had one in the list before, but this opened up and I put in a second one. And the Typhon. Typhon, such a weird card always, but it came up and won me the game against Striker. Sky Striker my last round against Sky Striker, it came up and it won me the game. So you could probably play something else instead of Typhon, but it came up. And I absolutely recommend playing both of these Beyond the Pendulums. I consistently had to break boards every single round because I never won the die roll. Not once in the 6 rounds of Swiss that we did I win the die roll a single time. And then I broke the boards. Rounds 3 through 6. I had to break boards, and I 2-0'd most of those people except for the Sky Striker player at the very end. And a lot of that is thanks to Beyond the Pendulum. It's in the glare, but Beyond the Pendulum, most of the time I didn't even use the on summon effect to search. I just used it for when you pendulum summon, pop 2 cards, and it gives 2 zones for you to pendulum summon to. It felt great having 2. So I would absolutely recommend you play 2 of those. The Zelatis absolutely should be an Ensemble Blue Robin, and the Typhon could be truly whatever you want. I just had a Typhon available, and it came up once and won me the game. So yeah. First 2 rounds were hell. I'm going to be real. The first round was up against the guy who got 3rd at the regional. He was playing Pure Yummy. Game 1, I had no non-engine. Game 2 was 1-card Charter, 4 non-engine that were all back row, and he Perulia Mulcharmy negated my starter. And then Feather Dusted my 4 back row, and it was like, alright, yeah, it's over. Good game. So that felt horrible. I don't really feel like that was the deck's fault. You could kind of say it is, but whatever. Round 2 was against Odeon, and it was a very, very close game 3, in which I just was nervous. I was so close to killing him. It was a situation where he had Typhon. I had 2 Coolias that were both above 3k attack because of Vingolf, which I'm going to get to later. And so I made an access code talker so I could try to pop his board of literally just Typhon, Treasures as a King, and a single back row that he hadn't activated. He'd had it for 2 turns at this point. He just hadn't activated it, and so I assumed it was something he couldn't use. I made the access code, I targeted the thing, and he flipped Skill Drain on resolution. And I, for some reason, in my nervous, tiny little ape brain, went, Skill Drain works like Baguska. Their effects are negated on the activated effects are negated, not that it negates their effects on field. And so I went to attack into his Typhon, thinking my access code still had its gained attack. He went, nope, take 600. I was like, what? It still has the gained attack. And he went Judge, and I read Skill Drain as the judge walked over and went, oh fuck, it's over. And he just swung and killed me for a game. After that, everything was great. Broke boards, had a great time, did a lot of pendulum summoning. I honestly think I'm probably just better at going second in this game in general. I've played way more blind second decks than I have like setup decks, and I'm so happy this deck was really good at breaking boards. And obviously, it's a pendulum deck. It can set up really well. It can play through hand traps, obviously, because it can play through boards. Yeah, there you go. I love this deck. I'm going to see if I can do a remote regional to redeem it, to try to get top 8. We'll see, I guess. I truly believe this deck can do extremely well in this format. I mean, I had a great time. I didn't play against any Draco Tails, but I did a ton of practice against Draco Tail leading up to the regional, and it never felt too bad. The biggest issue was, ironically, Horn, Draco Tail Horn, because your links obviously can't be specialed in defense, and if they flip back your link, it can feel really bad if you're trying to set up for a pendulum. But other than that, everything felt pretty easy to push through or play around, that sort of thing. Let's talk about the list, I guess. Everything's pretty standard. I'm not even going to go through the cards. I hate when they do that, and then they yap about each card. It's like, yeah, we know why you're playing 3 of the best starter. Please get on to anything interesting. So let's talk about what's interesting. I'm playing Vingolf's Blessing. Most people didn't even know this was a card that existed. To be honest, I didn't know this was a card that existed until about literally the day before the regional. I was looking online. I literally Googled generic fairy type support, and this card popped up next to like Dawn Angel Kwambi and Ava and stuff, and I was like, this is okay. Previously I was playing, I'm trying to figure out where the glare's not, I was playing Dragon Shrine, Dark Worm, Supreme King Gate, the donut one, as a kind of a 1.5 that doesn't take your normal. Which is what this is. This is a 1.5 that doesn't take your normal, which is extremely important, as there's kind of an issue of normal summoning in this deck. If you get your normal negated, it can feel horrible. It feels bad. Especially on Primoa, you want Primoa to resolve. Primoa and Gracia are the only Solfachards that search for spell traps. So if they get negated, and you don't already have access to it in hand, it can feel terrible, especially if you normal. So Vingolf does that. It sends a fairy from deck to graveyard. And we have a few targets here that I'm going to talk about and why they work. This card performed amazingly going second with Herald of Orange Light, because often I would Herald of Orange Light to negate something and have to send one of the pendulums or something from grave to grave. And you don't have a lot of ways to get them back to hand or field from grave. You can like special them with Exceed the Pendulum or the Primoa effect when you link summon. But most of the time, like, I didn't even really want them back just because there's a lot of redundancy in the engine, so you can just go grab another one and keep going. And so being able to then, on the turn afterwards, Vingolf's Blessing, send Ava banish the Herald of Orange Light and whatever fairy you sent to go search Solfegia Primoa, so then you don't have to normal, and you can commit your normal to Diviner or just an Extender or something, felt awesome. Every time it came up, it felt great, and people were always so baffled when a Herald of Orange Light sent itself in some Solfachord, and then first play Vingolf's Blessing, and everyone had to read this card. I loved this card. It felt great. No one knew what it did. No one was expecting it. It helped turn Herald of Orange Light into something that was super beneficial instead of just a -2 and a negate. Yeah, even if you don't have Herald, you can still send the Ava if you get stopped at some point to banish a fairy on field, go grab an Extender like Solfegia or something, or if you have a normal, obviously Primoa, which felt pretty good. It really shined when you had Ava in hand already, because then you can go send Trias, tribute the Ava, banish the Trias, or if you have Herald in hand, you can go send Trias the Herald out of hand. You get the Herald effect of specialing Primoa from deck when it's distributed without needing your normal. This card is not a one-card combo. However, it's a 1.5 that's extremely flexible and gets you out of weird situations where you have too many normal summons, or you had to Herald going second to negate something, or even Herald when you go first to protect against Droll or Nibiru or something, to then extend. It's an Extender 1.5. No one knows what it does. It felt great. I loved this card. I'm so happy I found it the day before. And more than that, it works great with Beyond the Pendulum because you can pop it. And when it's popped, it specials a fairy. I'm trying to keep it out of the glare so you can see it. Specials a fairy from grave when it's popped. And so you can pop it on your turn setting up with Beyond to special stuff. You can pop one of your scale. Oh wait, no, that doesn't work. Yeah, you get the idea. You can special something from grave when it's popped, or if they duster you, you can special something back. Like it, I love this card. I'm so happy I found it, and I highly recommend you playing it. I know there's kind of a stigma against cards that aren't one-card combos in the modern age, and I know you could maybe find something better to play or just like put in non-engine, but I really liked this card. It was flexible. It worked great with the other generic fairy cards I was playing. There you go. That's my reasoning. Other than that, we're kind of just playing all of the good Solfachards and ways to get to the good Solfachord. So obviously 3 Primoa, 3 Solfegia, because it lets you extend out of bad hands or not commit your normal. 3 Happiness. This card's busted. Oh my god, I love this card. It helped contribute to the ability to break boards. It helped set up. You basically just bait. If you have this card in hand, you basically just bait all of your shit into getting their interactions off that can stop this, and then you happiness and demolish them for the rest of the turn. I love it. We're only playing 2 of Elegance. I had it at 1 for a bit. Keep it out of the glare. I had it at 1 for a bit. Just because it's not a 1 card, but it's like almost. It's not even like a 1.5. It's a 2, and then pray that you have something to pendulum summon. But there were so many times where I would use 1 Elegance, and then I had chances to search on the following turn, and having a second Elegance to Pot of Greed or reset your scales for follow-up came up. Please play 2. Don't play 3. You don't want to really see it in your hand straight up most of the time. You don't want to draw it on the crackback as well. Yeah. 1 Coolia, a regular Coolia, not Link Coolia. Obviously, this card is so weird. Its pop ability is really specific because most of the time you don't have a high attack pendulum scale to then pop something. But it pops small monsters, and more importantly, it can pop the yummies. Because they're all low attack, which pretty good. Pop snatch you when they go to set mignon. Pretty good. I obviously had to break boards a majority of the time I was playing. And so having a monster that immediately threatens negating 2 of their cards on field or popping a monster when they try to interact with me was good. It forced shit out early. It negated things that if they couldn't negate it, it just like forced them to use their interaction or have it turned off. Ryziel especially. I went up a Ryziel Shark player, and obviously that's a terrible matchup. I'm playing Pendulums, but being able to happiness for this card and another starter, special this card as part of resolution, and then force them to use one of their pops then to turn off their detonator for the rest of the turn until I decide to get rid of it. Like, pretty good. Pretty good. I was also playing 1 Gracia. People are playing 3 of this card, obviously in the K9 builds because it's a 5. If you're not playing K9, please play this at 1. Don't play more of this card. You can recycle it super easy once it's on top of extra to go search out happinesses and elegances whenever you want to. It's vital. I don't know how often this card got impermed or ashed. Most of the time they would use those cards before I even get this on the field. But, you know, it's literally your only other card besides Primoa that can get you to your Elegance or Happiness. And so it's pretty vital you find this every game. Obviously, you can find it off of Happiness, Primoa, and also Cutia. Let's talk about Cutia. I'm playing 2 of this card. I'm not playing 3. I don't want to see multiples of this. It's a card that's not exactly a 1 card because it takes your normal. But it's also nice to have. It's a high scale. It's not odd, so you would have to go for, like, if you're placing off of Elegance, it would have to be Cutia and Coolia. But it is nice to have another high scale in case you lose access to all 3 of your Solfegias, which came up in a few of the grind games. I don't know. I didn't like 3 in my testing. I never really wished I had a 3rd one, other than the times that I ran out of Solfachords in deck, which happened in grind games. But yeah, play 2. Don't play 3. I think that's it for the Solfachords. I didn't play any of the traps. I didn't play any of the other Solfachord names. I really hated having bricks in the deck, and Beauty ended up being that. I originally was playing Beauty to overlay into Odd Eyes to get the Omnia Gate, as I talked a little bit about earlier, but I didn't miss it. I did not once wish I had it in the deck. There were still times where I had Coolia or Gracia in hand, and they're not exactly bricks. Coolia is much more of a brick than Gracia, but I never wished I had Beauty or any of the other Solfachord names. To be honest with you, I read through all of their names, but I don't remember what a lot of the other ones did. I know there's one that can like special itself as an extender, but I just never missed them. I just never did. And obviously the traps are way too hard to set up for very little payoff. The last thing that was somewhat interesting about what I played is Oh, I guess there's Piri Reis Map. This is a card. I only played 2 of this. I don't know if you should play 3. It searches Primoa. That's pretty good. If you need Primoa in hand, it's another searcher for Primoa. Played 1 for 1, it gets you to Primoa. Or Cutie, in case you want to search something else. That's good. Play those. I don't really feel like I need to say more about why playing searchers for your best 1-card combo in the deck is important. The non-engine was a bit weird. And the biggest thing I have to say about the non-engine in this deck is that I hate Ash Blossom. I think most people consider it to be a card you have to play because of the Charmies. Or at the very least it hits everything, like you can Ash the Cupsy away. But I hate this card. I didn't want to play it because there were so many K9 cards. And K9 doesn't give a shit about this. You either turn on their K9s to Ash something and they just extend, or you have it in your hand for too long and they make Ripper and it's fucking turned off. And that felt horrible. That felt awful. I wanted to minimize the amount of cards that I was playing that K9 just didn't give a shit about. And Ash Blossom was one of them. It also just like never saved me from anything. And I also usually felt like even if I got Charmied going first, which rarely happened because I lost every die roll and then 2-0'd going second most of the people. That obviously I didn't lose round 1 or 2 too. I never wanted it. I never missed it. I never felt like, ah man, if I just had Ash Blossom, I would have been fine. If I got Charmied, I would just make an unbreakable board because I'm playing Pendulums. And this deck has so much protection against hand traps. Like, Primoa literally reads, if you have your Pendulum skills set up, which you want, your shit can't be negated. That's awesome. Like, what? I don't know what to say. There's so much protection built into the deck. You get to the Omnigate Link 3 so often, so early, that if I got Charmied, I'd much rather just make an unbreakable board and pass back to them. So, I don't like Ash Blossom. I didn't have it in the side. I didn't have it in the main. I replaced it with Droplets, because breaking boards is fun for me, but also it's something I expected I was going to have to do in a deck that is a little bit mid on breaking boards unless you have help from things. And so Droplet felt great. The only issue is you can't send your Pendulum monsters on field for Droplet because they go to top of extra. But you have so many spells like Vingolf that want to be sent to the grave, or Ava or whatever, that it was fine. Imperm. I've heard some people talking about Imperm being bad this format. My argument was K9. K9 can't negate this shit. And you can Imperm, No Roy, or Ripper, or whatever you want to stop them. Or you can just save it. You can just save it in your hand for breaking their board on your turn, turn off, trade for one of their cards. Which felt great. Fua. I don't need to explain Fua. I played 2 Bells. I was supposed to have a third. It was one of the cards that was forgotten. I don't know what to say. Belle's great. You can Belle the yummies and shit. And then 3 Orange Light. This card felt so good. This was Droll protection for me. This was take and pop one of their most important cards. It was set up Vingolf. It was trigger Ava, turn 0. Trigger Hierarchia, turn 0. I loved this card. I actually had a play against the Sky Striker player last game of last round where I made them go first, and then on their turn 0, I Herald, sent Ava with it, added Diviner, and I already had Trias in hand. And so I then Trias tributed Diviner and a Cutia I had in hand to pop one of their back row, special summon Primoa turn 0, and it gets going, and it won me the game because I on their turn 0 turned off. I believe I popped a Widow Anchor they set, and then started going. This card's great. I love this. -2 is a little scary, but that's why we're playing Vingolfs. That's why we're playing Ava. That's why we're playing these cards that want to be engraved that you can send off of Herald. So there you go. That's pretty much the entire main deck. I didn't mention the Gate Magician I have, but I figured if you're watching this, you kind of know a little bit about Solfachord already. You can search it. You can search Gate Magician off of Beyond on your first turn. search the Solve Supreme King. The link 3 says pendulum monsters it points to can't have their effects negated, so you just get a free Zark and a free Synchro Dragon. There you go. Jesus Christ, I've been talking for 23 minutes. I didn't expect to be talking this long. I'm gonna try to go through the extra deck fast. Zark and the Synchro Dragons. They're good, you know. It's Zark plus. I was playing Crystal Wing and Clear Wing because depending on the matchup, you want a Monster Gate or a Spell Trap Negate. I was playing so many Link monsters. This is basically a Link deck, and I like Link decks. This felt like a very good decision. I don't really know. Obviously, you can play the Canines. I much rather focus on the Link monsters. I was playing one of each of the Grand Solfachords. I made Museo once. You could honestly cut this card for a Coolia. I rarely used it. Obviously, you can like special to it and search, or just make it early for Primoa. But I didn't ever want to do that. Coolia's. Oh my god, I love this card. Omni Negate you can make early that specials a scale and sets a scale to top of extra. It felt so good. I love this card. Honestly, I would probably cut this Musea for a second Coolia. Because you just want to make Coolia as often as you can. I was playing Herald of Mirage Lights, and this is because I was playing the extra fairy stuff. I made this multiple times against Striker and also Odeon. I also made it once against VS K9. It felt okay. I knew they had breakers, and I was able to negate and evenly match that way. So, yeah, I like this. It's very situational depending on how many fairies you have access to in hand that you can keep. But it felt good. IPSP, you have so much like material. There's no reason not to do IPSP. I was playing Nightmare Unicorn. I never made it, but it's like another target for IP if you have more cards in hand. You can if you have an extra Vingolfs in hand, you can discard that for the Unicorn, and that triggers the Vingolfs. Not terrible. You could play something else. 2 Beyond, great for breaking boards, great for searching stuff. Love this. 1 Exceed, this is for follow-up. This is entirely for the turns afterwards, where you can often dump all of your pendulum monsters out of deck onto top of extra or field or hand or whatever, and you just need to reset your scales, and so you can make this, put one back in hand, and scale it. That's the only time I ever used it. I didn't really use it for much else. Access code, I broke boards all day. This card is my goat. You're playing tons of links, so be able to link climb into access code and just bop their whole board and kill the fuck out of them. I love this card. I literally heard people in my group talking about how this card needs to be banned, and I was like, sweet God, please don't do that. Please never do this. I need this. The Zealantis I wish was a non-sim blue Robin, and the Typhon that could be whatever you want. There you go. You don't give a shit about the side deck. No one's ever here for the side deck. I was playing 3 Dark Rulers for Yummy, 2 Contexes for Yummy and Draco Tail. Came up. 3 evenly matched for breaking boards, 3 thrusts to search happiness, break boards, whatever the fuck you want. 3 Droll for the Mitsu, so many Mitsurugi players, and a Harpy's Feather Duster for the thrust. Cater this to whatever's popular. Figure out what your worst matchups are and cater to them. My worst matchup was Draco Tail, so I had Contact Seas and evenly matched, and the thrusts for the Feather Duster. Then I was a little scared of Lunalight as well, so I had the Drolls and the Drolls and the evenly mainly. There you go. That's the deck. That's how I did. I want so bad. I felt this after I read the standings and saw that I didn't make top 8. And I just felt like I was happy that first regional, getting 13th, going 4-2, losing to tiebreakers. Incredible. I should feel super happy, but honestly, I feel more motivated than ever to practice more, to play more, and figure out where I can go do another regional, whether it's online or drive somewhere, but I want to make top 8 with this deck. This did way better than I thought, and I felt so much better. And I know if I had gotten the right amount of sleep, if I had just calmed down those first 2 rounds, which I literally took a break after round 2, sat outside, meditated, and drank an energy drink. I know if I just put myself in a better place mentally and not been as frazzled, I absolutely could have done better. And I've put my whole soul into this deck. I've put more hours into practicing and making and perfecting this deck than I've ever put into anything in my whole life. And I just hope that, honestly, someone from this video, from me making this video, will pick this deck up and play it and put in whatever cards they like and not listen to people who don't think you can play what you like. I got told so many times in practice that I should play something else. I was originally playing Yummy variants, and I switched to this, and I got told a lot of times by people that I need to just go play Yummy. And I'm happy to say I didn't play Yummy, and I'm happy with this deck. So, there you go. I hope you play it.
Skirt on my hip, got fake feet. I look rich on my diamonds drip. My shit hit, I don't miss your Spotify shit, it's kinda mid. I got racks, I got bricks, I got ass.